Hey, babe, welcome to the Money Mindset and Manicures podcast. If you are new here, hello and welcome. My name is Samantha, founder of the Marriage Scripting Journal. And in this episode, we are diving into spring energetics and how you can use the energy of this time of the year to actually propel and help you manifest your goals and desires faster. Now I know it's March, it's spring. Like, hey, don't we use like the beginning of the year, like our New Year's resolutions to kind of set up ourselves up to do that? Yes and no. So I have a fun little, I don't even know what to call this. You may resonate with this. You may be like, Sam, you are crazy. Like, what the heck are you talking about? But fun fact for you, did you know that we used to follow a calendar system where spring, right now, end of March, beginning of April, was actually the start of the new year? And that's what the solar astrological calendar actually is right now is New Year. So if you follow or subscribe to that calendar, Happy New Year. And it makes so much sense. Because if you listen to some episodes around New Year's resolutions, and I kind of talked about this in my community where it's like in wintertime, like who's out there trying to hustle and start goals? Like, no, that is a time to go inward. That is a time for hibernation, right? You see it everywhere in nature. But for some reason, and I'll tell you why, we decided that no, we are going to actually consider that the new year and to completely disconnect from what's going on in like the solar system astrologically that was followed for very, very long time and is still followed in some like cultures like to a degree today. And the calendar that we follow today is actually called the Gregorian calendar. And this was created in the 1500s. And even before that, in like 46 BC, we had the Julian calendar that also created this new calendar. And it was basically just a bunch of guys just sitting around the table and just decided, hey, this is going to be the new year. And what's interesting is I was kind of researching on this really just like, I hate that we're so disconnected from what's actually going on in universal energies, and the way that they calculated the days and stuff that those at a point in time with the Julian calendar, that the calendar what year was off by 11 minutes. So as time went on, right? Like they're going to get further and further behind what it actually should be. And then when Pope Gregory came in and created the Gregorian calendar, it is also a little bit off. And then there was another point in time where then Britain adopted this Gregorian calendar, and their parliament actually, it was like in the 1700s, it was like September 2nd, and they decided that day to adopt the calendar. And then all of a sudden the calendar shifted to September 14th. So there was like riots and stuff about people losing 11 days of their lives. Like it's just so wild when you get into the nitty gritty of timelines and calendars and all of that and energetics of it all. And for me, I have this belief, this is what I believe to be true. It's like, I just feel like they just constantly do all these things to have us be even more disconnected from source, from powers, from, working with universal energies. And, with us celebrating New Year in January just doesn't make sense. And that time is right now. So treat this time to be really, really special for yourself and treat it like the new year. And I love that we already have this big thing of like spring cleaning, like that is a thing. It is so beautiful because when it comes to manifesting your desires and accomplishing your goals, right? Like you need to have space and room. So if you have a lot of clutter in your life, that is going to block your blessings. And in this episode, I'm going to get into the energetics of how you can utilize this time period to set yourself up for success. So how is it that clutter can block your manifestations? How does that make sense? Like if you're out there trying to get a job and you are trying to just call that in, like what does clutter in your home have anything to do with it, right? It has everything, because clutter, no matter where it is, it can be in your car, in your office, in your bedroom, in your bathroom, in your kitchen, wherever, right? Clutter is a mix of objects, right? That are just sitting there. And most likely you have that drawer, you have that room, you have that closet that you maybe open up and you're like, oh, you shut it right back up. You're like, oh, hell no, I'm not going in there. right? Or you just like, you have a dumping ground somewhere where you just chuck stuff in there and you're like, oh, I'll deal with it later. But all of those items, remember, everything has an energy. All of these items, whether you like them or not, they're just in there, not being loved, not being taken care of, not being looked at, not being utilized. They're all holding a stagnant meh energy, right? And so, regardless if you see this clutter or not, more so if you do actually see it, like if it's in your bedroom, for example, like maybe you have a pile of clothes like sitting in the corner of your bedroom, or maybe in your office, you just have piles of paper or trash can that's overflowing, or a bookcase that's just disarray, or in your closet, right? That's most popular for us women, where it's just a dumping ground of clothes that are hanging on the floor. You have that pile, you have the ones that you need to put away, all of that stuff, right? Like it's kind of can be everywhere if you're not someone that just like picks up and puts away, which I am guilty of. I'm very guilty of being a person that stacks up a lot of stuff and then I'll just take a day to like clean it all. I don't know about you, but there are also times where I know of places right now that I can think of in this house where it is just stuff from when we moved in. We just left it in boxes and just stacked stuff up and it's just there. And I know whenever I open that closet, I'm like, oh, one day I'll get to it. One day I'll get to it. One day I'll get to it. Right. But all of this clutter is holding this stagnant energy and it's going to block your blessings and manifestations come in. And energetically, clutter, if you think of it, it's really just disrupting this flow of chi. And if you don't understand what chi is basically life force, right? Like it's feng shui, like it's energy. It's all the same stuff that we're talking about here. It's that flow of energy and that life force energy that is coming in and through your space and can just like flow around. It's blocked. So this is how it hinders the manifestation process. And when you declutter, you actually release that stagnant energy. And regardless if it actually has to do with that goal or desire that you have, you are able to create new space for opportunities. And not only you're creating this new space, by getting rid of those things that you don't like, don't need, are broken, are dirty, are old, or whatever, you're now aligning your environment with your intentions, right? Because as you're setting your goals, you're stepping into this new womanhood, you're becoming this new woman, and you're elevated and you're evolved and you're high vibe and all of that. Like, and you're able to get rid of those things. So your intention gets more activated in a clear space. So if you have a hard time working on a project, you're in your office. And when I was kind of like going over this and like reading a few different studies on this stuff, I thought back to even like in high school or even in my early 20s or even now. If I have to sit down and like, for example, back then it was homework, right? And now it's like I'm working on a project for manuscripting or something else, or even doing anything. If my space is dirty and cluttery, I have to clean that first before I can even sit down and function. Now, before I thought, oh my gosh, like that's just me procrastinating. But for me, if I'm sitting in a room and I'm trying to like work on a project, like a goal of mine, right? Like you're working on a project, you're trying to move the needle forward on something. If I'm sitting in a room and it is just like so dirty and so cluttered, I get distracted. I can't feel my own thoughts flow. Like I just feel like I'm blocked. And it makes so much more sense because there's just all this stuff everywhere that's not in the right place. And that's what's distracting. So it is an energetic thing. So if you have a hard time with working on your projects, working on your goals, working on those things that you want to manifest, think about the environment that you are in doing it, right? Say if it's at home and your home is dirty, or you're in your kitchen, you have a sink full of dishes, or you where have you, right? Think about, oh, you know what? That could be the thing that's blocking me right now because there's a bunch of stagnant energy just sitting there. And it's not, as you're tapping in, right, to work on these things that you desire, it's that energy that's supposed to be coming in and flowing through to you. It's being blocked by all the crap in the way. So I really recommend to just take some time to just clutter out those things, especially the ones that are directly in your visuals, right? Like the things that you can see right away. And if right now you're listening to this at home or even just driving or walking or whatever. But I want you to just think about your living space. Like, does this resonate? Do you right now can think of somewhere in your home where you're like, oh my gosh, Sam's calling me out? Like, yes, I do have that room or that closet or that desk or that drawer, that you always open. I want you to really think about making it a priority to get to decluttering it and get to cleaning it out as soon as you possibly can. Okay, babe, I know you're listening to this podcast because I know that you have a desire to change your life and accomplish big goals, right? But I also know that something has been holding you back on going after those big goals. Or maybe it's that you self-sabotage, or maybe you've set these big goals and you get really overwhelmed and you just don't go after them altogether. Well, I want to introduce you to a journal that is literally going to help you change your life and help you actually manifest and accomplish any desires or goals that you have. It's called the Marriage Scripting Journal, and it's the #1 selling manifestation and goal setting journal designed exclusively for empowering women just like you to up level and change your life. Now, if you haven't seen this journal on social media already, I want to share with you that it is literally your personal guide to manifesting your dreams and unlocking your true potential. And inside its beautifully curated pages, you'll discover powerful daily journaling pages, workbooks, and exercises to help you set goals, help you plan your dreams, and manifest the life that you deserve. Plus, the one thing that I had to include, and it was a non-negotiable with this journal, is that it needed to have a community. So you'll also have access to join an online community filled with thousands of women just like you who are on the same path using the journal. So I invite you to join me and these thousands of women who have already embraced the power of manifestation and changed their life using the Marriage Scripting Journal. And I also want to gift you with a special 15% off code on your first journal order by using the code Money Mindset. The code is Money Mindset. So head over to manuscripting.com today and embark on a transformative journey by ordering the journal. So go ahead, check out the show notes, empower yourself. Answer the call to getting this journal. If this is speaking to you, I want you to join us. It's time to script your dreams into reality with the Marriage Scripting Journal because you deserve to create and manifest a life that you're completely obsessed with. See show notes for details. The one way with decluttering, and I actually have one of the methods inside the Marriage Scripting Journal, is to use the Marie Kondo method. And if you have a hard time, this especially comes, with doing closets and clothes or going through just like old personal things, right? You're like, oh, I don't know if I want to throw this away or not, or I'm going to fit into this later. But I fully subscribe to if I pick it up, if it does not spark joy, I'm getting rid of it. And then I have 3 different bins. It's a donate, trash, or keep, right? And I do small sections of a home at a time. I've done it so many times, and maybe you have as well, where I decide one day I'm just going to clean out my closet, my full closet, or a full bedroom, or a full room in the house, or something like that. And then all of a sudden that motivation to declutter wears off after a few hours. And then you're just stuck with piles and piles and piles of crap everywhere. So I do recommend you to just take some time to just do a shelf, do one drawer, right? Get that done, move on to the next, save it for another time, another weekend, something like that. And another reason why this is so important is because there's a quote saying that nature abhors a vacuum. And that's a phrase that was coined by Aristotle. And this is the idea that means unfilled spaces go against the laws of nature and physics, and that every space needs to be filled with something. Again, that saying is nature abhors a vacuum. So a way to describe this in real life terms, right? It's have you ever cleaned out your closet and donated tons and tons of clothes, right? Or got rid of tons and tons of clothes, and you had this beautiful closet, you had a ton of empty hangers, and you're like, oh my God, it looks so good. What usually happens within a couple months? It's all of a sudden, it's overnight almost. It's all of those hangers get refilled. All the drawers get refilled. It's how does this happen, right? That's what I mean. Or maybe you buy a bookcase or a shelf and you like maybe had a few books to put on it. And now all of a sudden, like by the end of the year, like the bookshelf is all filled. Because one, you now have this space that is open, and naturally and energetically, that space is going to fill with something. So that's why it's also important to not just do this kind of declutter stuff like once a year, like right now, but to be constantly like, I now have a rule. If I'm buying new clothes, which actually I rarely do, but if I'm buying something new, I have to get rid of something, like donate. Usually I just donate my clothes. I donate something out that I'm no longer wearing anymore. And I've stopped playing the game of, oh, I'm saving this for a special occasion, or I'm gonna wear this when I get in better shape. Like that's just torturous. And it's like YOLO at the same time, right? It's like enjoy all the beautiful things that you have now, right? But really, really get intentional with your way of living and decluttering and what you're holding on to. And again, with that Marie Kondo method of just holding on to things to spark joy, like that's the way to live, right? Because even if you have these items, like you might have there's a couch that you absolutely hate, or there's this one thing that you got gifted by your mother-in-law and you're just like, oh my God, it's the ugliest thing ever. But you feel guilty because, if she comes over, she's going to see it gone or something. Like that's not a reason to keep things. Like get rid of the items in your home that do not resonate with you, because those things are holding on those energetics for you and you just don't need that. And for me as well, ever since moving to Austin, have just lived, or really wanting to live, a more kind of like minimalist lifestyle. Like in our place, we don't have a lot of shelves, we don't have a lot of stuff everywhere. And it's not that it's sterile by any means. Our home has a lot of character and it's really cozy and beautiful, but we just don't have a lot of things everywhere, because all of those things do carry an energy too. And Mark and I are very intentional with just like being able to like feel good in our space and not like we're suffocating with all of our stuff either. So when you let go of all of these things that are taking up this space, you're going to create space not only in your physical space, but you're also going to create space in your mind. And it is such a beautiful, refreshing thing. Like, just think about it. I'm sure you've decluttered before. I'm sure you've like gone through and cleaned out stuff before. It's like, how do you feel afterwards? It's like a million times lighter, right? It's wild how it energetically feels once you're done cleaning out a room, getting rid of all that stuff that no longer resonates or serves you. It's like a breath of fresh air, right? So have it on your kind of schedule routine to kind of like do this like at least once a quarter, right? And then when you have this space, like I mentioned earlier, because nature abhors a vacuum, when you have this space, you have room for more of what you want to come in. So when you clear out a space, you're actually taking charge of your life. You're actually taking charge of like what you want. The word for this is, it's like, it's not like intentional, but you're saying no to the crap and you're saying yes for this goodness to come in. So you're bringing and creating this beautiful environment for you to be like, I'm here, I'm clear, I'm open, I'm ready, I have space, I have room. I'm not settling for this. I want X, Y, and Z instead. You're literally up-leveling in all aspects of your life and environment. And you are literally then expanding and opening the doors to your space for energy that you can hold. And again, it doesn't matter if what you are manifesting or working on has nothing to do with the items in your house, right? Like that's not the point. I hope you're understanding now. It is the energy and the space, right? So you'll be able to hold more energy because you have the space for more energy. Guess what comes with more energy? You can hold more money, because money is an energy, right? So when you have this space that's just beautiful and it's open and it's decluttered, you're breathing lighter, you're feeling good, you're not distracted by a bunch of crap everywhere, right? And then energetically, things can come in and flow to you. And as you deliberately go through and remove those things that you do not want and that you get rid of them, means you actually get deliberate and you get intentional about what you desire, and you're going to see your life to change. It's just a fact. Like, it's a fact. Like, this process, it works, and it is so, so beautiful, right? So I have a few tips for you. I'm sure you've decluttered before, but I want to give you a few tips to go on your decluttering way, whether it's your personal space, your office, your car, like even your car. A lot of us, we're in our cars for multiple hours a day, going from thing to thing. Like, if you like, quote unquote, like live out of your car, even if you live out of your car, like clutter builds up, right? We're going in and out. We're leaving junk in it. We're leaving trash in it. You're maybe have, I remember with me when I lived in LA before I moved, I was decluttering, and I think I had a bag of donation clothes and rolling around in the trunk of my car for like a year, right? And so taking that time, whatever space you're in consistently, go and declutter it. But again, my first tip is, and I mentioned this earlier, like, start small, right? You have that excitement, that energy to declutter and clean, but very quickly, after 2-3 hours, because it's also, it's draining. And this is why it's draining, because you're having to make a lot of decisions very, very quickly. And they're kind of big decisions sometimes, like, oh, do I like this shirt? Do I hate this shirt? Do I donate this shirt? Or is it good enough to donate, or do I have to trash it? Right? So you're making a lot of decisions very, very quickly. You're looking at a lot of things because it's all clutter, right? So it drains your energy very, very quickly. So start small, focus on one area, one drawer, one shelf, one little corner of a room. And that will prevent you to be like super overwhelmed, or to like, drop off mid project and leave yourself with an even messier room that you started. Second one is to set clear intentions. So before decluttering, also set intentions of what you want to achieve. And for example, like if you are trying to declutter to make a space brighter or lighter or more organized, stuff like that, like maybe go into that project. And this is what I would do, is I would go on Pinterest and be like, okay, well, I'm trying to declutter all of the drawers in my office, because I just chuck pens, notebooks, paper, everything's just like in the drawer. I was like, oh, I really want to make it cute to, like, when I open it up, it's like all organized. So I would go on Pinterest and find, okay, so what organization things do I need to purchase before I start this purge? So then as I am decluttering, I'm also putting away and organizing. So you might want to set a clear intention of like, what do you want to achieve here? Or it could be just as simple as, hey, I have a bunch of clothes that I don't wear anymore. I know they would be better suited if I donated them and someone else can use them and wear them. So that could be your intention as well. So this is going to also provide you with increased productivity, and also just like a sense of like calmness, because you know the objective that you're going into it with. Third one is the Marie Kondo method, which I already explained. Again, this is picking up an item, doesn't matter what it is. Does this bring me joy? Does this spark joy? Do I absolutely love this? And if it's not a heck yes, then it is a no. And if it's a no, it's going in the donation or even giveaway pile, donation, or the trash. And stick to this, okay? None of this, oh, well, I'm going to keep this for, later next year. Like, no, we don't want to be wasteful, right? Obviously, we don't want to be wasteful, but at the same time, it's like deep down inside, if you know you're not going to be using something on a consistent basis, it's like, just get rid of it. That's kind of my practice. And then practicing regular maintenance of this all. Like I said, it's like, keep this in your routine, be intentional, maybe create a rule for yourself. Like I did, like if I purchase something, I have to give something away. I have to get rid of something. And I also, now it's like, I think twice about things before I buy them, because I'm like, wait, do I actually already have this? Do I actually really need this? So I take even a step back further of just being really intentional with things that I'm purchasing, because at the end of the day, like I hate being wasteful. And I'm not the type of person either to just wear something once or, use something one time and that's it. Especially when it comes to my closet and clothing, I'm very much a shopper where I buy things that I know I could reuse in multiple different outfits, right? Or it's not just, and I don't buy super trendy things either, because I don't want it to just be for one season and then it dies. Like a lot of my clothes, like I've worn for years and I love them. And those are usually like the pieces that just like really just like last forever. And then lastly, something that I want you to also think about as you are decluttering your space is to, with your mind, like declutter your calendar. Take a look. It's a good time where between, like right at the end, beginning of a new quarter soon, it's like declutter your calendar and see what things you want to keep on it, what things you're like, oh, I don't really want to be doing this anymore. I've done that multiple times where, maybe you've had this same call every single week, or you go to the same activity, or you have the same habit, and it's just not serving you anymore, and you just don't feel like doing it anymore. Take it off the calendar, change it, make something new. And with taking something out, I also highly recommend like scheduling in time for you, that self-care and relaxation to maintain and have a good balanced life. So when it comes to self-care, I don't know about you, and this could be maybe a fun little debate, but for me, I was thinking about this because I was I now call it my maintenance week, which my maintenance week consists of getting my hair done. I just recently started coloring my hair this year, getting my hair done, getting my nails done, and getting a pedicure. And what else? I think that's like it. That's like my maintenance that I get. But for me, and I also get a massage, but that's weekly anyway. But I felt like I was like in my maintenance week of going and doing all of these things. And for me, I was telling my fiance, Mark, I was like, like I really dread going to do these things. And he was kind of shocked. He's like, he's like, I thought you would like to go do those things. It's so girly. It's like so fun. I'm like, no, like honestly, for me, like doing these things, this isn't for me a form of self-care. And this is my question to you. Is getting your nails done, hair done, all of that a form of self-care? Because for me, there's so many other things I'd rather do for self-care to like take care of myself. But for me, it's like getting another task done. It's like going to run an errand and taking time, like getting your hair done, your nail. Luckily for hair, I can be on my phone and get work done and stuff like that. But just the thought of it, I'm like, oh gosh, it's another thing on my to-do list that I have to go do. I know I get to go do it, and I'm very fortunate and blessed to be able to go do these things. But for me, I don't consider that self-care. For me, self-care is going to get a massage. For me, self-care is being able to spend the afternoon in my garden. For me, self-care is literally just like hanging out with Milo and Mark at, whether it's at home or just like, I don't know, just in the hot tub. We love going in the hot tub every single night. Like that's self-care to me. That's relaxation to me. But running around and doing these like maintenance items, it's not self-care. So scheduling time for yourself to refill your cup, what's going to pour back into your soul. And that looks obviously different for everybody, but looking at your calendar and just kind of freshening it up for spring, highly recommend that you do that. As you step in to this vibrant season of spring, just remember that it's not only just about cleaning out your closets and organizing your calendars, but it's also about embracing this opportunity for growth and transformation, right? Like this is technically the new year. Like it is. And if you think about it now, if you hadn't heard, someone talk about the Gregorian calendar before or anything, like this isn't some woo-woo spiritual stuff. Like this is like legit. You can look it up in history books. This is how timelines shifted and all of that. And it was all due to these men that were in power and that could do that. And it's just like, it makes us so disconnected and it's so frustrating. But this is the season of newness, of growth. So if maybe you weren't feeling it in January, well, guess what? That's completely normal. And for a lot of people, we just force it in January because that's the hype, that's the energy of like what the people at that time were doing. But now is the new year. Now is those times to set your goals, or maybe you had ones in the January and now you can go back and refresh on them and really start taking this action, right? The days are getting longer, the weather is getting warmer, you have more energy, you have more excitement, right? So utilize this time to be like, this is my new year and I'm going to go all in, okay? Because you're going to, right now, I can feel it right now. There's going to be so many of you, you're going to just bloom this year, right? You're going to bloom like flowers in the spring, you're going to bloom. So take chances, try new things, and just revel in this beauty of this new fresh start. Like, I'm giving you permission. This is your fresh new start. Get the house decluttered, get those goals rewritten. If you don't have the marriage scripting journal, go grab one right now. This isn't a journal that you just get at the beginning of the year and that's it. Like, no, absolutely not. Go get it right now and enjoy the season that's going to be filled with so much beauty, so much joy, so much adventure, and endless possibilities with you and your evolution and expanding. So I thank you so much for listening to this episode. Happy spring, and let me know what resonated most with this, and let me know if you're going to declutter. Like, please send me a DM on Instagram, and if you haven't already, leave a review on this podcast, because it is our way of being able to reach out to other ladies that will find this information inspirational and helpful with their daily journey. So thank you again for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.